Hello, I'm Sam from Cultaholic.com, and this is Graded for NXT and 205 Live, where I take a look at each show, segment by segment, and award each little bit of grade from A+ to F. So 205 Live this week is hot on the heels of Stomping Grounds, in which we got a brand new champion in the form of Drew Gulak. And this week on NXT, we have a cage match to main event the show, and the start of the Breakout Tournament, so it should be a pretty interesting week. But without any further ado, hit the intro. So we start things off this week on 205 Live with a cold open, and it's Drew Gulak, and he's holding his belt, and he says that 205 Live doesn't deserve his generosity, it deserves his wrath. He also says that Nese and Tozawa are going to go one-on-one tonight, and the winner will have a chance at the title at Extreme Rules. But then we go straight to the ring for the first match of the night, which is Jack Gallagher versus Mike Kanellis, with, of course, Maria at ringside, because he can't have a single match without Maria at ringside, can he? There's a nice little moment early on that sees Gallaher make sort of little teeny tiny bicycle kicks to Kanellis' face while he's trying to pin him to the mat. He's just gently doing that with his feet all over Kanellis' beard, and he's getting angrier and angrier. This then somehow leads to him balancing himself upside down on the top turnbuckle. He's just he's playing with Mike in this one. And then when things spill to the outside, Maria, of course, gets in the way. Mike then throws Gallaher into the ring post and then hits a brainbuster onto the floor, so he capitalizes. Things are fairly back and forth throughout the entire thing, with Mike almost ending Gallaher after planting him straight on his face. That pin doesn't work, so he goes for another one, but the ref catches him pulling the tights up to gain leverage. The ref and Mike arguing causes enough of a distraction for Gallaher to headbutt Kanellis and pick up the 3. Gallaher walks out, and then Maria's sort of consoling Mike, I guess is the way to put it. He's very upset. They get about halfway up the ramp, and Mike's like, you know what? No, I'm done. I am done. You go back there and you tell him yourself, you tell him I'm not doing it, I'm done. Mike then awkwardly walks up the side of the ramp. He just goes up through the crowd and starts walking out toward the public exits. I'm going to give this one a B-. For a short match, it had a bit of everything. Great character work from Mike as usual. He and Maria got a load of heat for the outside interference, and it had a nice quick ending, and I'm really liking the fact that Mike could be quitting 205 Live. We just don't see him for a while. Maybe he shows up on the main roster. But what's more likely is that Mike's situation seems to be for him stemming from the fact that Drake Maverick doesn't care about 205 Live. So maybe somehow he and Maria are going to talk themselves in to a joint GM role, and that would be incredible. We then go backstage, and Tony Nese says that he's not going to make any excuses, but he wasn't the one that got pinned at Stomping Grounds, so he's going to get his belt back. We then go to Tozawa, and Tozawa's like, I want the belt too. And then we keep it backstage, and Drake Maverick is angry. He's flustered, he's on the phone, he's trying to get a hold of Mike, but he keeps going to voicemail. He tells him that he's being massively unprofessional and his behavior is disgraceful. We then go back to the ring for Humberto Carrillo versus Rollenbeck, a local competitor. I'm a fan of this one. Humberto needs this squash. He needs to be pushed to the moon because he's fantastic. He makes quick work of him, he gets all of his aerial stuff in, he doesn't seem phased despite the crowd being dicks, and he picks up the win. I'm going to give this one a C simply because it's a squash, and I don't grade squashes as high as normal matches because they're more of an angle type thing. But yeah, anything for me that helps Humberto get a little bit further up that food chain, it's worth doing. We then go backstage, and Arya Daivari is being interviewed, and he says that, Lorcan had it coming. When he jumped Lorcan the other week, Lorcan had it coming because Lorcan's a bit of a dick. He put 6 stitches in my head. Then out of nowhere, Lorcan turns up with a chair, nails him, starts laying in the fists, and he just keeps screaming over and over again, screaming, how does it feel? Like that, just over and over the entire time. He's getting separated, everything's happening, but he just won't stop screaming it. We keep it backstage, and Lucha House Party say that they want a rematch against the Sings, and Lindsay says that he spoke to Chiquito Maverick, and he's approved it. My favorite part of this entire promo is that Grand Metalik tries to do the rave horn sound, they're like, no, 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 that noise, except because he's got his mask on, and I don't think he really knows what the sound is. He just sort of goes do 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 like that. It's so good. And then we go back to the ring for tonight's main event, which is Akira Tozawa versus Tony Nese for, I guess, #1 contendership to the Cruiserweight Championship. Whoever wins this match goes to Extreme Rules to face Drew Gulak. Both men want this so badly, they're straight on each other from the get-go. Nese uses his natural size and strength to keep Tozawa at arm's length, but it doesn't stop him. Tozawa uses his speed to get the better of him. He even manages to hit that cool looking, like a massive cannonball he does off the apron when the guy's on the crowd barrier, and he just makes all that space and it looks amazing. But we are seeing a very different, driven Tony Nese here. He's got Tozawa and he's keeping him right where he wants him. Tozawa does manage to hit a massive dive to the outside, sending Nese sailing over the announce table. once back in the ring though, he can't pick up the pin after one of his huge missile drop kicks. He then tries to lock in the Iron Octopus, and Nese will not allow himself to submit. He will not lose a chance to get the belt back. I'm going to refer to my notes for the next part because it just goes mental. So I've written, the pace here is blistering, with Nese missing a springboard moonsault. He hits a dive. Both men then avoid each other's best attempts at hitting their sort of signature offense. Nese eventually hits the moonsault, but it doesn't put Tozawa away. Tozawa then hits a high spinning kick, which allows him to set up the senton, but Nese gets up and strikes him before he can do it. Nese then kicks out of a Canadian destroyer and avoids yet another senton attempt. Possibly my favourite moment of the entire match, Tozawa reverses a running Nese into a horrible looking German. Eventually Nese hits this weird like belly to back or back to belly pile driver where he sort of sits down and the head's tucked sort of between his legs, so it looks a bit safe. Doesn't quite look as dangerous as a pile driver is, I guess, supposed to look, but it looks mean and he picks up the 3 with it. I have to give this one an A. It was a fantastic match between two of the best in-ring workers that WWE has, and two guys that I don't think a lot of people realise are as good as they are. They turned a dead crowd right on its head and they were fully bought into it by the end, and now we get the match between Nese and Gulak to prove who the better man is once and for all. Please, Gulak, do not drop that belt. So overall, I'm going to give 205 Live this week a B+. I'm really particularly looking forward to the conclusion of the Mike Kanellis Drake Maverick storyline. I think we've got a few weeks to go yet of like intermediate stories like weaving their way through, but I think that Maverick might end up getting ousted from 205 Live. We've also of course got the build to Gulak versus Nese, which is hopefully going to be pretty good too. I hope we're going to get to see Gulak shine, and I hope that he's going to just be allowed to go full ham with his character. But that was 205 Live. Let's move on to NXT. So we start things off on NXT this week with the first round of the NXT Breakout Tournament, and it pits Joaquin Wilde, formerly DJZ, against Angel Garza, formerly Humberto Garza. Funny fact, cousin of Humberto Carrillo, who's also a member of the Garza family. I really like that Wilde has been able to keep his DJZ gear, like the light up weird Predator mask looking thing and the full bodysuit that's all like LED. And when Garza comes out, he's just got that cockiness and swagger that comes with being a third generational star. He knows he's good. You can tell he's going to go far, and Jesus, what a handsome man. So this was a very, very good high-paced opener. Both men, of course, accomplished flyers. They both go back and forward for a little bit, feeling each other out, and Garza is using a lot of really nice lucha-style offense. At one point, he even rips off his tights to reveal trunks, and I don't think I've ever heard a louder female fan reaction at an NXT show. Garza takes control, he's laying in strikes and holds in order to break Wilde down. He then stretches the arms and starts driving the knee into the spine of Wilde, who then, in like one of the best reversals I think I've ever seen, just sort of shifts his body weight backwards, rolls through, maintains like control of the arms where he's been trying to pull the guy's hands away, and then just does the exact same move back. It was flawless, it was seamless, and it was like, what? Like, I just blinked and it happened. Wilde also hits a dive from the apron where like Garza is on the entrance ramp and Wilde is sort of like on the side. He runs and jumps through the turnbuckles to hit the dive. They are both slick AF. The crowd are going mental at this point, and then Garza hits an avalanche Spanish fly and it all looks done, but no, Wilde kicks out. Wilde then attempts a cheeky roll-up, which gets kicked out of, and then Garza hits a butterfly stunner to pick up the 3. This one gets an A, it gets an A, an A, an A, an A, an A. Like, they set the pace so well. For two guys that this is their debut, this was insane. Absolutely insane. They completely and utterly stole the show. Get them on TV every week. I don't care about this tournament anymore. Just put them guys on TV every week and have them wrestle every week, and it just won't get boring. It cannot physically get boring. There's then a backstage package with Kushida telling us that he's in WWE to make waves, and not just NXT. He's going to make waves on SmackDown. He's going to make waves on Raw. He's going to prove to everybody that he's the best wrestler in the company. And he finishes things off with his new catchphrase, which is "Time belongs to me," and I loved it. It was so good. We then go to a very short backstage interview from last week. Damian Priest has just come backstage after his match. Interviewer tries to ask him about it, and he says, you know, you ain't seen nothing yet. We then go back to the ring for the Street Profits versus the Forgotten Sons, who are represented by Blake and Cutler, with Riker on the outside. Pre-match, the Profits cut a promo saying that they are so confident they can beat the Sons, they are going to put the tag belts on the line right now, and that's it. It's a title match straight away. The Sons quickly isolate Ford, trapping him in the corner, stomping on him, tagging like only they do, until Ford eventually gets the hot tag to Dawkins. Dawkins comes in and cleans house. Dawkins then goes corner to corner, hitting those like stinger splash type things that he does. Ford tags himself in, in, goes for the high splash, and just as he's about to pick up the 3, Riker pulls him out of the ring. So the Profits win via DQ. The Sons then beat down the Street Profits, and all hope looks lost until Birch and Lorcan come out to make the save. Blake and Cutler then attempt to go back into the ring, but Riker grabs them by the hair and pulls them back. Whatever they've been planning, it's happened and it's worked, and they've sort of just got to retreat for now. Birch and Lorcan then hand the titles back to the Street Profits, with Lorcan sort of going, I'm not really wanting to do it, but he does it anyway, and you know, nice feel-good moment. I'm going to give this one a C just because it was an angle, not a match, and if it was a match, it would have been a very short match, and it would have been probably a C again. I said match a lot there. But regardless of all of that, I'm looking forward to where this is going. I like the Sons, and I like that there's definitely a plan in place here. I just don't know what the plan is, and I can't wait to find out. We then cut to a vignette in a dark room, and there's an 8mm projector showing images of riot police and burning cars and horrible things that are happening, and then a flash of a face, and it's Killian Dane. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait for Killian Dane to return to NXT. We then go back to the ring for Nykos Rikos versus Keith Lee. Now, Nykos, mate, like, I'm from a Greek family, and when I tell my mum that there's a Greek wrestler in WWE, she's probably gonna lose her mind, and she'll be your biggest fan just because of where you're from. She'll be your biggest fan just because you're from a Greek background. But what are you wearing, mate? You look like a Nazi Venga boy. I'm hardly a man at the height of fashion, but come on. I'm sorry, but you look ridiculous. Just sort it out. So this one goes exactly how you think it's gonna go, and I'm just gonna read it off the paper because it's all of 2 sentences. Rikos starts by sort of pulling down Lee's arms as he's doing his signature pose, but he can't actually move the arms. Then he goes for a chop, and then he's met with a double chop and a pounce. The crowd then start the Marty Scurll chants, like braying mentalists, even though it's Keith Lee and not Marty Scurll in the ring. Lee hits the limit breaker and picks up the win. Yeah. I'm going to give this one a C. It was a super squash. Lee looks like a beast as always, and as he should just keep feeding people to him like he did with Braun, and hopefully Nykos's ring gear was damaged in the process of the match, so yeah. We then cut to another vignette. They're all about vignettes these days. It's all getting very vignette-y. So it's the Adam Cole World Tour video. He's about to board a private jet, and he's like, you know, this is what the lifestyle is all about. Johnny Gargano never got to do this, but I do. He says he's on his way to Download. We see a sort of little bit of his time at Download. He's in a tent wrestling. You just sort of see some super cuts of that, and then it fades to black, and it's like the next day or like a couple of days later, and he's back in America. He's on the phone to Roddy Strong, and he's like, man, did you put that order in? And when he hangs up the phone from Roddy, he's in the car. You see a couple of shots of the car. It pulls along a street, and then the window rolls down, and Adam Cole walks into a pizza place named Gargano's. I should also point out that during this vignette, we see Corey Taylor in his awful new mask. They should be ashamed of themselves. He had such good masks in the past. And then we got, you know, the All Hope Is Gone mask where he looked like a cactuar from Final Fantasy, and then it's just been downhill from there, hasn't it? Love you, mate. Absolutely love your music. I really wanted like a nice, really cool old school mask for this album. We then go back to the ring for tonight's main event, which is Io Shirai versus Shayna Baszler in a steel cage for the NXT Women's Championship. Shayna is of course used to fighting in cages because of her MMA background, and she's even wearing MMA gloves during this match to sort of hammer that point home. Io tries to quickly jump Shayna at the bell, but Shayna's having none of it. She takes her straight to the floor. And Io tries to use her natural speed to take it to Shayna and get around her strength and size advantage. And the second she knocks Shayna on her ass, she's straight halfway up the cage trying to escape. Shayna gets up though and launches Shirai face first into the cage a couple of times for her sins. It's worth noting throughout this match that Shayna is keeping Io on her toes. She's not letting her get used to too much of the offense. She's going, you know, like holds and submissions into strikes into the cage, and she's just keeping it rotating like that. She's not letting Io get comfortable. Io is able to later on get her revenge by driving Shayna face first into the cage a few times, even hitting some running knees into Shayna into the cage. There's like a great moment where Io's trying to escape. Shayna manages to claw her way up alongside her. They're on the top rope in the corner, and Shayna locks in the Kurafuda clutch just there on the top turnbuckle. But Io manages to suplex her to the mat for a double down. And of course, because it's a double down and Shirai is crawling her way to the door and the ref has unlocked it, out come the Horsewomen. They hound the door referee and they keep her with her back to the door, so Shirai can't even open the door itself. Shirai then kicks the door, which knocks down the Horsewomen, but it also takes out the ref. Shafir then locks the door, which takes that option away for Io, and she starts to climb. Shafir climbs to the top to try and knock Io down and give Shayna the advantage, and then out comes Candice. And it all devolves at this point, so I'm sorry, I'm going to have to once again refer to my notes. So Duke gets in the ring and tries to help Shayna out of the door. Candice hits a massive crossbody to take Duke out. Io then has a chance to escape, but hits a moonsault off the top of the cage onto Shayna instead. Shirai and Shayna are then clawing at each other as they're trying to get to the door. They're pulling each other back, they're fighting, they're just trying to get the escape. Shirai gets halfway out the door and Shayna locks in the Kirifuda clutch, and when everything looks like it's ended and it's gone and Shirai is out, she grabs the door and starts slamming it against Shayna's head, and it's just horrible. Shayna seems to be knocked out, but she falls forward and lands on the floor. Shayna wins the match, but she doesn't really win it, she sort of wins it by accident. So the horsewomen help Shayna out, and then Io and Candice are alone in the ring, and Candice comes over and puts her arm on her to sort of console her, and Io strikes her. The crowd can't believe it. She stomps on her a couple of times, and then she comes to her senses. She puts her hands up, and it's like, oh God, what have I done? Like, she just saw red, and she was so angry that she cost herself the match. She snapped and attacked Candice, and she looks like, what do I do? What do I do? She doesn't say anything to her. She doesn't try and help her. She just walks and sort of backs herself out of the cage, and you do feel a little bit sorry for it. It's like, oh God, no, like this is going to lead to like some awkward tension. She didn't mean to do it. Turns out she's only sorry because she didn't have a chair in her hands. Io grabs a chair, goes in and starts wellying Candice. She just murders her. Absolutely massacres her. She then sets the chair up and suplexes Candice through it. This one gets an A+. So much happened in this one. I love both of these competitors. They're always very good at telling a great story with their in-ring work. I love Shayna retaining by accident and having that smug, horrible, heely victory. I love Io turning. I just want to see where this is all going to go. Overall, I'm going to give NXT an A this week. It was a barn burner of an opener and an absolute slobber knocker of a closer. I've got so much excitement around what's next for Io and Shayna, especially after a steel cage failed to contain it. I'm really excited to see more of the Breakout Tournament, but to be honest, it's going to have to be a hell of a match next week in order to surpass the Wilde Garza match. And then we have Adam Cole and the curious case of the pizza place. It's all very interesting. So that has been graded for NXT and 205 Live. What did you think of the shows? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think in the comments below. You can follow Cultaholic on Twitter at Cultaholic. You can check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/Cultaholic. If you like what we do here at Cultaholic, you can check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/Cultaholic. And no matter what you do, don't ever forget to hit subscribe and join us.